Well, it's the rhythm, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's there editing to his own score. So, especially in the movie, which is all about running, it's all about getting to a certain point at a particular time. It's a rhythmical thing, and that, I think, getting caught up in the rhythm of the film is something that very rarely happens. You can sort of, strangely enough, has anyone seen the Woody Allen TV series that's on Amazon, Crisis in Six Scenes? You should watch it. It's fascinating, because it's an old man making television, and so the rhythms of it are just, like TV in the 50s or 60s, and just not like the TV that we're watching nowadays. So you can tell when the rhythm of a movie or a TV show is on, there's just something that doesn't quite click together. Whereas I think here, you do get, it's a film with its own metabolism, it's pounding away. And that's why it's 79 minutes long, and it flies by. No, the computer game thing is absolutely right. I think that factors into it in a major way. And again, this is that 90s thing where people were looking around for any kind of inspiration. How are we going to tell these stories? And Tom had obviously been playing lots of PlayStation and going, well, okay, let's make a movie that's a bit like a PlayStation game, but actually is more fun than a PlayStation game, because you're actually involved with it rather than sitting there going, I'd much rather be playing this on my sofa. I think the computer game thing is very right, and the Lara Croft comparison, absolutely. But she learns, doesn't she, from one reality to the next, which leads me to believe there's some kind of chronology about it. So she gets told about the safety catch on the gun, which then factors into the second time around where she takes the safety catch off, she knows how it works. So it is a film about, there is some kind of evolution between those realities. I mean, if you wanted to, you could watch it backwards and just have the tragic ending of her being shot. I need a happy ending. Right now, I need it. When I was watching this in 1980, I wouldn't have noticed, because that's how digital looked in 1980. It does look a bit blurry and grainy. The Dogma movies, the Lars von Trier stuff, the early Lars von Trier stuff was around at that time, and that was just how independent movies, cutting-edge art house movies were being shot. I think now you see digital and you go, it's a bit like someone's, Uncle Fred has taken hold of the video camera and then just gone out and shot it. So, but I like the idea that those sidebars are in digital, because it's almost like he's scribbling out something on the margins that may, it's like he does the main narrative through line in fountain pen or marker pen, and everything else is done in pencil. So you can scratch it out, and you don't have to go with that. Yeah. But that's just something that's going on the margin. It's a little doodle. Yeah. And I think digital, the early days of digital, there were a lot of movies that were doodles, that were directed just taking very cheap video equipment out onto the streets saying, what can we do? And I think some of that factors in here. Actually, if you look at the foreign language picks from the last few years, that has actually been one of the categories where the Oscars have been at their strongest. So there have been some very strong picks in that field. Ida, the Polish film, a couple of years ago. The foreign language, there's now a new committee in place, or a new organising structure that look at the long-listed films, and actually they seem to be much more on the case than I think the rest of the Academy voters are. If you took the last 10 Best Picture winners and the last 10 foreign language film winners, I think the last 10 foreign language film winners would be a better 10 movies than the 10 Best Picture movies. I think that they've rejigged it, that's the one. It's been a long day. They've rejigged it. They've got people in who I think know which movies deserve to go forward. I mean, this year, the UK are sending as their foreign language film entry Under the Shadow, which is the Iranian ghost story, haunted house movie, which is a genre movie and can be watched as such, but it's also a movie about what's going on in Iran at the moment. Yeah. And it's terrific. If you get the chance to see it, go and see Under the Shadow, it's terrific. I take your point that certainly that fast cutting thing has got into cinema in a big way now, and actually, but I think there's a precision about the cutting in here that you don't get in a lot of contemporary action movies. It makes sense that Frankie Potente, the lead actress in this, would go on to become, would go on the run with Matt Damon in the first Bourne movie, because those Bourne movies are just so precisely cut that in the fight scenes, you can see someone throwing a punch. You can also see where the punch lands. You can see where the body moves. They are brilliant examples of cutting, and I think there's a precision about the cutting here that you know the architecture of the space that Lola passes through. So you know where that guy on the bike is going to come out. You know where the nuns are. And so Tickford in the second part and the third part can then play with that, having set that up, and say, oh, you know what will happen if she runs around there? She'll run into the guy with the bike. So there's a precision about the cutting here and in the Bourne movies that I don't think you get in some of the Marvel stuff or the Michael Bay stuff, where it is just boom, boom, let's throw the camera around and try and force an impact on the viewer. The kind of action movies like this allow you to see the flow of energy in any given action scene, so you can see where the cars hit or the punch lands in a way that I think has been erased in a lot of mainstream multiplayer cinema. I mean, I don't think there's necessarily a direct comparison between that and Memento, but I think they do come out of this point where there is this accepted idea, this accepted wisdom that all of the stories that we have been told. And this is something that's very much sort of pre-millennium. The idea that we come to the end of the 20th century, we've told all the stories we can in a minute. That's it. You know, everything's been. You're not going to come up with a new story at this late point in the game. But while we're here, let's play around with this. Let's tell those old stories in new ways. And so the idea of running 3 stories back to back, which tell us the same story but with different outcomes, and the idea of a movie that starts with the end and then flashes backwards to the beginning. There's something that was very much around at that time. Again, it's this postmodern culture that was going on at that point. So I mean, you could watch Pulp Fiction and this and Memento and get an idea for just where movies were. And the other thing is that these are all fairly mainstream movies. I mean, they're independent movies, but they're movies that played in multiplexes. You know, they were backed by, in a couple of cases, they were backed by studios. They went on to get loads of nominations in various places. It's not like these were sort of obscure little arty experiments that were going on the fringes. These were things that people were going to see. There was a buzz about them. And they were genuinely challenging a lot of the narrative storytelling that had been going on, you know, for the 20 or 30 years before that. Well, German cinema has always been very good at remaking and remodelling itself and addressing what's gone on in the past. So you look at that 70s new wave of German film where, you know, directors like Wim Wenders and Werner Herzog and Werner Fassbinder were coming through and addressing actual historical realities and things like that. I mean, I don't think this is a profoundly political text, but it did strike me watching it again tonight that it's the kind of movie that only someone who could have grown up in Berlin after reunification. There's that sense of freedom in the city and being able to run anywhere and you know, do anything, achieve anything. I think it's a movie made by someone who grew up in, or certainly saw Berlin as a united place rather than a divided place. And then obviously German cinema from this went on to do Downfall, The Lives of Others, Sophie Scholl. You know, they suddenly there's a real confidence in German cinema around the millennium and about addressing what had gone on before. So sometimes it takes a big commercial hit like this to allow other filmmakers within an industry to go, actually, I want to make a movie about the Second World War, or, you know, what we did back then.